Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 91 on this Tuesday night. I was just thinking about this today, and I'm sure many people are feeling the same thing. It kind of feels like Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Right.
Just like, obviously we've been in this over a year and everything like that, but it just seems like all of a sudden, for me, I've been fine with it for the longest time, but I think just in the past week, I just think like, okay, this is the same exact thing as yesterday,
Yeah,
kind of
for
thing.
sure.
But we do have a little light at the end of the horizon. We're going to visit our daughter in college in April, so we set the date yesterday. So we're very excited to do that since we haven't seen her since she left in January, and she doesn't come home till May. So that is a super long time to be away from your
Yeah.
child.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little crazy. It is sort of like Groundhog Day, and I wonder how many. It seems like everybody that I talk to has trouble sleeping. I wonder if that's a common side effect. I can't tell because I've always had trouble sleeping, so it's like I don't know whether it's a new thing or whether it's just a continuation of what I always had to deal with. But I was talking to someone at work a week or so ago and brought it up out of the blue, and I thought it was kind of strange because sometimes I think, well, maybe it's just me, but apparently it's a common thing. I just think there's a lot of anxiety going around.
I do too, and it just feels like we're still not close to getting back to normal yet. So
Yeah.
there's also that. We have a big meeting tomorrow, firm-wide meeting in my company, much smaller than David's, but we have 50 offices around the world, and
That's
so
not small.
well, in side like employee number, you have like 50,000 employees or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, mine's like 6. So, but even so, obviously, with going back to work and depending on what country you're in, what state you're in, it's all going to look different. So they are going to
Yeah.
have some kind of conversation about back to work, but I think it's going to be kind of like, hang on, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I don't think anybody really knows how long, because, obviously with vaccines, that makes it better, but I don't think anybody really knows how long there's going to be a problem. And then there are these new strains and all that, which, hopefully the vaccine will protect against, but it is alarming when every so often you read, oh yeah, there's this new strain that started out here or started out there, and then they discover it in the US, so that's not great.
No.
I don't know that we even talked about this before. I know we were talking about it with our daughter. I don't think we talked about it on this, but by, I think it's April 12th. I don't know what day of the week that is.
I can tell you right now because
Maybe it's a Monday.
It is a Monday.
In Illinois, everyone, I think over the age of 18, can get the vaccine. So, it's been by the group that you were in before now, but apparently on April 12th, it's just open up to everybody. But then you have to find an open slot. So, I mean, it's good, but it may be difficult to actually get it.
True.
And
our daughter, who has a job on campus, not on campus, but has a job at school, found out that that qualifies her for getting it, so she's going to try to get it before she comes home.
She deals with customers face to face, so that's one of the criteria, which is good, and it makes sense. I know one of my siblings works in a coffee shop, and she's gotten it. So, plus some of us are old, but I'm not quite that old. Don't
Just
quite
not
make
old
the cutoff. But yeah. And then on top of it, I mean, not to be like morbid or anything, but then we've had like a lot of bad news lately.
Yeah.
Like, these crazy shooting things in Atlanta and in Boulder.
Yeah, insane.
Just, I just feel like, it's bad enough when those things occur, but usually they're pretty isolated kind of incidents. But, to have 2 things like that in a very short period of time.
Yeah. And I didn't
really
even know
crazy.
about the Boulder thing until later today. Like just because I just hadn't looked at any news yet, and I just saw somebody post something, and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
I didn't know the details of it. I saw that there was an ongoing situation, and they didn't really have any details. Kind of like late in the afternoon yesterday, and then today, it turned out to be really bad. And we don't want to talk about, politics and all that, but it's just like, these things just keep happening, and it's really crazy how many of these things have happened in Colorado.
Yes.
I wasn't really thinking about that. I mean, the Columbine incident, that was a strange thing for us because it happened, if I'm not mistaken, it was the day that we were going to my nephew's confirmation. I was his confirmation
oh my gosh,
sponsor.
You're right. I totally forgot about
Yeah,
that.
and so I want to say it was on a Thursday or something like that. And it was the internet age in those days, but relatively new internet age. But I had to leave work early and drive or come home from downtown, and then we were going out to a suburb a little further west of here. So I was just, I was working. I wasn't paying attention to any of this stuff, and found out about it like towards the end of the day, right before I left off. So that was a very peculiar thing because there had been incidents like that in high schools and even in elementary schools. But it was pretty shocking given the size of it and the number of people killed and all that. And then, but we didn't really have any kind of time to process it because we had to jump in the car and go. And my nephew was in 8th grade who was being confirmed that night. And, they couldn't, I don't think it would have really made sense to try to even talk about it in the confirmation mass, but every kid in that group was probably intensely aware of what happened. The Parkland thing happened when when Claire was not a junior, I want to say a sophomore.
I think sophomore.
In any event. And that again was a high school thing, and she was the only one of our kids in high school at the time. It was very intense. The students in her high school had a walkout like that day, like they organized it that day.
And she participated.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's just been.
Yeah, I think that's just like an extra heaviness on top of everything else.
Right. I mean, bad things always happen, but when everybody is stressed out, it just makes it that much more difficult to try to sort of process it. And I have to say, we don't really know all the details of the thing that happened in Atlanta, but of course, 6 of the 8 victims were Asian American. We have, Asian American family. One of my brothers-in-law is Filipino, so his family could get caught up in some of this crazy animosity. My niece and nephew, their children, my brother-in-law's siblings and their kids.
Right.
It's just like you're never fully removed from these things, and it's really stressful. Just to think about the level of anxiety that they have to be facing.
Yeah, and that's one of the things is like, especially for those people, like getting the green light to like, I can go back to work, I can make money for my family, and be put in that situation is just like so terrible.
Yeah. So that wasn't really, we had all the celebrations and everything last week. Now that's all over with. So
yeah.
We're done. We're done.
Yeah. I know it was kind of funny because we never like now we don't have like a plan of like what we're going to talk about. We just like talk about what's on our mind. We would also love to know what's on your mind and how you're feeling about
true.
How things are going. Summer's around the corner again. We just got an email from City Winery for a concert that we were supposed to go to that got canceled again. Now in October it's rescheduled.
It was supposed to be last May, and then it had initially been rescheduled for this May, and now rescheduled supposedly one final time for October. And who knows what things will be like in October. Presumably we will have had our vaccines by then.
Yes. Knock on wood.
But,
But it is kind of funny because when it first got canceled and then rescheduled, we're like, oh, for sure, we'll be going the next time it's available. And then...
Well, they put it over a whole year, if I remember correctly. I mean, I know maybe as I'm thinking about it, I think they may have rescheduled it twice before now. So maybe it was in the fall, and then it was supposed to be this coming May, and then October.
Yeah. So that's kind of weird to think about. Getting back to going to concerts again because we love that so much.
Yeah, it's really hard to think about it though. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't ever go to another concert or anything. I don't mean like that, but it's hard to really just think about being in any kind of crowd situation.
Well, and even now they have, all the kids are on spring break who got spring break. In Miami, I've been reading about all those kids, like thousands of kids who are just running amok, no masks, no worry about, any kind of thing like that. And it's just like, come on, people, let's just get past this.
And a lot of colleges like the University of Illinois and Columbia College, they didn't have spring break for that reason, because they just didn't want to. And not only did they not have spring break, but they didn't have any 3-day weekends. So like Illinois, it's a state school. Normally they would be closed for President's Day, but they didn't this year because they didn't want to give kids even a 3-day weekend. To make up for spring break being canceled, they give them, I think it's a total of 5 individual days off, but they're in the middle of the week. In fact, our daughter's off tomorrow because, they wanted to give them the time off.
But not to give it off where they can be lured into let's go get out of town kind of thing and then come back.
That's right.
So she's hoping to really take the day off tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. Because
so we won't start the cracking
the first time it happened, her teachers acted like it wasn't a day off because her classes are all remote, so they were just like piling on the
business
work.
As usual.
Yeah, business as usual. And she's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, no fear if I have to do homework the whole time.
Yeah. So that's a little crazy.
Yeah, but I'm excited that we'll be able to at least take a break and get to see her, and at least and it is fun since David went there to you're a tour guide as well.
Yeah, although we won't be able to go into any buildings.
But we can still walk around. And
right,
should be,
you walk around
by
the
that
campus.
time it'll be really nice out, I'm sure.
But we don't. You have to have been tested, and you have to have proof that you've been tested. Yeah, you can't get into the buildings without this app on your phone that they check. So she can go in the buildings, but we can't.
So for those of you who don't know, Dave got awesome grades in college, and so his name is on a plaque in one of the buildings.
We can't go see it on the bronze tablet.
Yes. Which Claire found it when she was there for summer school. She found it.
She was at a summer camp with the College of Education, and she found it and texted us a picture.
Standing next to it.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, out of all,
one time when we went together.
I think so.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about it is, out of all of the tens of thousands of students that go to University of Illinois, my high school classmate Howard Walters listed right below me.
That is so funny. It's like
it's the two of us right there. Yeah.
And for those of you who also don't know, like our town, U of I is obviously a popular place to go. So when David went, in his very first classes, he had a number of kids that went to high school in his college classes, which I think was kind of
I think there were, in our high school graduating class, that had about 800, I think the exact number was 889. The only reason why I remember that is because my 8th grade graduating class had 88 kids. And the other reason why I remember that is because there were 11 kids in my family, 11 8th grade graduations, 11, so 88. So that was significant. And then it was 889 in high school, so it was close, but one.
That's funny because my 8th grade graduation class was 90.
Yeah.
And I think my high school graduation was like 900. Obviously, we went to the same high school, but mine was like a little over 900
it got
or
a little
something,
bit.
like
It got a little bit bigger
like
over the years.
But then when.
But what I was going to say is that out of that, just shy of 900 kids, I think it was like 60 some went to U of I. For some reason, 66 sticks out of my mind. I don't know if that's the right number. And I had one seminar class. So it was a small group, probably only 12 or 15 students, and there were like 4 kids I went to high school with in the class.
See, I think
and they were all friends of mine. I mean, it was four people that I knew well.
Would be like, for me, bring comfort to be like, okay, I'm away from school, but at least there's some familiarity of like having kids that you can hang out with.
Right. I mean, my roommate freshman year was a high school friend. We set that up so that we could room together. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely an easier. Now, I don't know how many of Claire's classmates went there. I mean, quite a few.
I think quite a few.
And some that she knew well. But I had, I won't name their names, but I'll give the first names. We'll just pretend.
Yeah.
We'll call them Nate, Andy, Truman, Don. For sure, those four.
Joel.
Oh, but Joel's a year older than us.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Lori, Stout. I did say her. And
Hi, Lori.
Yeah, and a few other. I'm blanking, but so. I mean, those are people that I knew well, so it wasn't just that there were a lot of people who went there. And it's funny because I never really considered any other school. I just, I don't even know that I applied to any other. I applied to multiple law schools, but when I went to college, that was it.
I did apply there because my parents told me to. I was like, I'm not going to get in, but thank you. I did not. But then I also didn't have, my backup plan was Iowa State, where my brother went. And he was a senior when I was a freshman, so at least I did that. But same thing, it didn't really occur to me to like really look out to see like what other options do I have. And at least back then for us, college was not so insanely expensive. So you could definitely.
Oh, for sure.
It wasn't something that you're gonna walk out of there with $100,000 worth of debt, or something like that. It was very manageable, but. Only one person from my high school class that I knew of went to Iowa State my freshman year, so it was kind of
probably more now.
I bet more
because it's not
it's not too far.
And in terms of expense, it's probably close to the same. I mean, you have to pay out of state tuition, but I don't know that it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so that was at least that to have some familiar with my brother there, so it was fun.
Yep, that was a long time ago.
It was a really long time ago. Yeah, so we've just been working.
Stressing out.
The weather's kind of crappy this week. It's in rain, so we're expecting a lot of rain this week. It has been warm.
And yesterday was nice because it was yesterday.
And that's
was
like
sunny,
my favorite part.
That's
My favorite part of spring is being able to open your windows. So we did that this weekend for the first time, and it was lovely because I just love having fresh air and the breeze come in. Our cats are loving it.
Yeah, they were a little confused at first. But
yeah. What's happening? And Gordon, at least when you open the door to go out, she's like right at the door, like to see like where are you guys going, or she's like right there when you come back. So I'm always like nervous. I've taken trash out and then come back and she's standing in the doorway, and I'm like, if I open this door, are you gonna bolt? Please don't.
Yeah, I don't think she would, but she's not afraid of anybody. She's not intimidated by people coming up to the door, like when we get the groceries delivered. So you have to be a little careful.
Yeah, they're on the lookout for sure. If any delivery person is coming out, they're like out the window, like, what's going on? Or something's up, kind of thing.
Yep.
So that's what's been going on with us. Let us know how you're doing, and we will definitely be in touch on Thursday. So have a good night, rest of the night. Bye.
Bye.